professional specializing in conversation intelligence solution. With over 18 years of diverse industry exposure, including banking, insurance, and retail, she is a certified customer experience professional and brings significant expertise in consulting, CX transformation, project management, and analytics to her role. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ms. Sudha Bhat, our moderator. And I would request the following panelists to join us on the stage. Mr. Nikhil Asopa, SVP and Head Customer Service at Tata Neu. Mr. Avinash Ramachandran, Head Digital Raychem RPGP Limited. Ms. Jyoti Arora, Head of Customer Experience Borosil. Mr. Vishwas Tripathi, VP Service Delivery, EbixCash Global Service. And Mr. Kshitij Mathur, Group CRM Head, the Good Glamm Group.
Am I audible, hopefully? Thank you. Thanks a lot. So thanks everyone for being here. It's indeed an honor for me to be present with all of you, and I'm looking forward to this discussion. And we were just having some conversation before coming here, and I think all of us did agree on how the AI is changing our lives, and it's like literally every day you see something new, and sometimes it's so tough for us to keep up to that pace. The main point or the topic of our discussion today is on operationalizing these strategies. Well, it's a struggle, and as a CX leader for over 2 decades, for me personally, to be convincing the C-suite on the return of investment on a CX solution has always been tough. And we always work on how do we get about it, right? Because there are soft benefits and hard benefits as well. And sometimes from an experience angle, it becomes very difficult to draw that line. And so I'm hoping that we can, unravel this mystery and learn from each of your experiences. And I'll also open it up for the audience for questions, probably for the last 5 to 7 minutes. And let's keep it as interactive as possible, yeah? So, Mr. Nikhil, I would love to start with you. So, I want to understand, just the operationalizing element which we were speaking about, and why do you think it becomes very crucial sometimes to be looking at how best can we operationalize it, and how can we look at it from a value perspective? And maybe you can share some insights from what you've been doing at Tata Neu, and then, it'll be great for us to learn from that.
Sure. Thank you, Sudha, and thank you, Gain Skills, for inviting me for this event. I think let's divide this question into 2 parts. Let's first agree on a definition of what the customer experience, and then we'll come to the operationalizing part of it. So sometimes there is a little misconception on customer experience only starts for a particular part of the entire sales journey, whether it's a sale of a product or a service. Yeah. But actually it starts from the inception of when we decide to launch a product or a category. And that's where any product, when it's getting launched, okay, we should ensure whether it is the right product which suits the demand of the market, which will give a good experience to the customer. Yeah. Then when a pre-purchase journey, which happens either it is online or offline, on a store or on a website or an app, we have to ensure that, okay, whether the entire process of buying the product or a service is flawless.
Yes.
And that would basically help that, okay, the customer experience is better. Then comes the last part, which actually most of us deal with, is a post-purchase journey and the customer service part of it, right? And that is where, okay, the entire strategy of customer experience has to be that, okay, yes, we have created a good product, we have created a good a platform for people, for customers to go and buy or use our services. But there will be certain instances where things may not go right. Correct? And in those cases, customer will come and reach out to you. Okay. And there we basically offer him multiple channels, okay, proactiveness instead of reactiveness, and so on and so forth. But the bigger part comes for customer service perspective is that a customer has reached out to you, and you as a customer service has to ensure that it is not only the customer service part of it, it is aligning with different functions within the organization, whether it is logistics, whether it is promotions, whether it is marketing, everything, right? And those getting integrated and giving an experience is, in my definition, a right customer experience. So let me repeat, right from a creation of a product, defining what the values of this product would be, how it will benefit customer, giving an experience during the pre-purchase journey, any experience which he has it, which needs to be rectified in a post-purchase journey, has to be taken care of it. As a part of customer service, okay, and connecting with all functions is overall customer experience.
I agree, and it also starts from the ideation point to the implementation, and again, that cycle after implementation from the feedback has to feed back again.
Exactly.
So that is true.
Correct. So that is how the customer experience works. When you mentioned a very good point of closing the loop.
Absolutely.
Right. Now comes operationalizing it, right? So more often we have seen it, all these type of strategies are made as a part of our planning, but in some cases gets very difficult to be executed. So for example, somebody calls me and he did not get a grocery on time for our big basket journey, or his installation got delayed for whatever reason because of the Samsung refrigerator he purchased from Chroma. The importance of giving a right customer experience is, once it is done, okay, once the customer reaches out to you, you should have an ability to connect with all these subsidiaries or the different categories, which is grocery and electronics in this example, and make sure the customer gets the best experience. Now, this can happen only when your processes are connected, when your systems are connected. Otherwise, I'll take a request, okay, at Tata New, for example, customer service, but the fulfillment has to be done from Chroma through Samsung as an example.
Correct.
Right? Similarly, a fulfillment has to be done by Big Basket as a grocery partner of ours, okay, through some of the logistic partners. But that process has to be connected, the systems have to be connected, otherwise the customer experience fails. Okay.
True.
So operationalizing that, planning what we have done it, through system and through process, is actually the real operationalizing customer experience. Understood. From my perspective.
So I would say taking the insights from each of these functions and then tying it together to ensure that there's a seamless integration of both the facts and the actual implementation on the
Absolutely.
floor.
Otherwise, you cannot go and tell the customer that, okay, no, because I deal only with customer service part of it, I don't know when the delivery boy will deliver it, or when the installation will happen.
Correct.
And that is, for seamless that to happen, okay, you should have a system and process connected.
Absolutely. Agree. Thank you so much, sir. So, Jyoti, I just want to pick from the thread which Mr. Nikhil said, at Borosil, how do you look at these kind of seamless integrations that would come across? Because, there's an emerging technology always, and we were just talking about, how you just recently implemented a chatbot, and then, you're looking at what are the new use cases that you can bring about. So I would love to learn that from you.
Thanks, Sudha. Thanks for the question. So we've been saying AI is a boon, and at the same time, it's like an endless circle to say, you do something today and there's something else that keeps coming up. So at Borosil, I think vision, as per the vision or as the way we perceive things, is very open to implementing a lot of technology-based solutions. It also becomes very essential for us, because we're not only an online store. So we have retailers, we have distributors, we have people who buy from our Amazon and Flipkart and stuff, and plus we have our own website. Correct. So every customer is a Borosil customer. So while I'm able to maybe control the experience for somebody who buys from the website, because there I've tailored everything as per the requirements of a customer, right? But a retailer, somebody who gets in buy from a retailer or maybe an Amazon store, the experience is going to be very different. So what we essentially try and do is we've tried and created, so we use Salesforce, which is our CRM, which essentially the customer service team uses. We've kind of accumulated most of the data that is used for purchases, or whoever's purchased from all the different platforms. And we also try and send across a lot of seamless information to our retailers and also to our partners at Amazon and Flipkart to be able to say that, this is the kind of stuff or this is the kind of service or options that is available to the customer. Like, give a very small example, right? A very small retailer, maybe in a shop in Kanpur. Suppose I've bought a OTG or a mixer from him. I stay next to the shop and I go and buy a Borosil mixer. Now, 3 months down the line, the mixer is not working. So my first instinct is going to be, while I'm going to go back to the shop guy and say, listen, I got it from you, it's not working. What do you want me to do? it will not occur to me as a customer in Kanpur to say that, hey, there is a customer service help desk that is dedicatedly available to be able to register my complaint without even going to the retailer, right? So what we've done for the retailer here is we've told him that, yes, you can take the complaint on behalf of the customer, but better if you want to leverage the technology and get a faster resolution for the customer, we've given him QR code scanners, which are placed on his desks. So you can just tell the customer, you have a phone in front of you, here's the QR code scanner, just click, it'll connect you to the WhatsApp chatbot. In 2 clicks, you can just register the complaint and somebody will connect with you, say maybe in the next 2 hours to be able to address your situation. So, that's where the technology is getting in very handy, especially to connect the offline consumers.
Absolutely. And it's nice that you brought about a lot of different channels in this journey, right? And I'm sure that, you're also going through situations where there are channel breakages or, information is lost. So how do you deal with those kind of unpredictable customer experiences or broken experiences, if you may?
Sure. So technology is not foolproof.
Absolutely.
We all know that, right? So I, again, will take the example of chatbot because we're talking AI here very specifically. So all my flows and processes are defined on chatbot, right? So we know there could be a failure in terms of maybe the bot did not pick up a keyword or he was not aligned to read the emoji or something that the customer said. So we try and put a lot of nodes around communication on the chatbot to say, if there's a breakage, try and rephrase and ask the question in a different way. If that's also not possible, then there is always the option for the agent to step in. Now, this can happen in multiple ways. Either there's a break in the chatbot, so we know that it's kind of not working, so the agent has to step in. Sometimes also when I'm angry as a customer, right, and I'm kind of using language, and when I'm angry, I'm going to use certain words which are not going to be very positive.
Yes, absolutely.
So there is language understanding, there is emoji understanding. So when, the customer is kind of getting into that mode, because it's not voice, so my agent doesn't know how good or bad he is, right? But there's a bot that is interacting with the customer. So there's this whole program around it to say that when you detect nuances like this, so there's a supervisor who takes over, and he kind of gets on the chat and he tries to understand what went wrong, and he also helps the customer there. So there's a great amalgamation of technology and human empathy.
Yeah.
Because, as Janita mentioned in her discussion, right? Technology is great, but human empathy will always stay. And it's very, very essential.
Yeah, absolutely. And humanization is the key. So that's when AI and human can actually work together, right? And thanks for pointing out those points. So, Mr. Avinash, she spoke about how the customer expectations are evolving, right? And there should be some element of a balance to get to that humanization, maybe personalization, or the terminologies like hyper-personalization come in very handy, right? So how do you think that plays a role, and how much of it is scalable as well?
So thanks Gainskill, and thanks Sudha for this opportunity. So first of all, I represent an industry which is electric utilities, where I'm a manufacturer of a product that goes into electric utilities. My customers are largely today seeking cost, products with optimum quality and high levels of warranty, right? So this has become a level playing field for all the competition that I'm dealing with, right? So for us, when it comes to creating a differentiation, largely it's in this kind of a podium, how do we identify a latent need, which is how do I deliver a customer experience, right? So this is being done with the help of digital and artificial intelligence and a blend of human touch as well. So I'll just take an example of a service app that we built using a low-code platform. So the products that we deliver, when we deploy them on the field, we want to make sure that every aspect of deploying a product, right from a site condition to the workman who's deploying it, his qualifications, the final certification by a customer are all centrally tracked. And then we have a digital record of it. And then subsequently, we are able to deliver reports which are very personalized to the customer. So I work with a key account, which is a large electric utility player. He could be based out of Mumbai or he could be based out of Delhi. The conditions that my key account in Mumbai is operating are very different from the conditions that our Delhi account would be operating. The weather conditions, the workmen, the qualification. So the nature of the end outcome, the quality of the deliverable that I give him are very, very different. So personalization, for me, comes into picture in the way I deliver the services, and this helps me to identify the latent need. This is number one. Number two is also from the whole perspective of, the pre-sales part, right? So we are dealing with, when we deal with key accounts, we have different stakeholders to deal with. There's a technical person, there's a purchasing person, there's somebody from the operations. So each of them has a very different need when they are evaluating a partner for a product like us. So there we personalize. So we do marketing, we tap into digital marketing very effectively. We personalize the content for them. And likewise, we do a lot of in-person interaction, which a lot of our customers still prefer, right? So while the consumption model is digital, but the in-person effect also plays a part. So the personalization for us is largely in our pre-sales, the way we package our solution and the way we deliver our solution. In our industry, it delivers the customer experience and it also creates a differentiation for us.
Yeah. So thanks for this, because though I have not much clue of that industry that you're talking about, but the key points among all the three of you were around where experience starts actually from the ideation stage itself and until you close the loop, right? And the human touch as well that you added, where it's important to go there and speak in person, and most often that data gets lost because it's not captured as well, right? But then you bringing that power back to the technology that you have becomes a very key point. So Mr. Kshitij, again from a different industry, come back to what Mr. Avinash said. So, and I would love to learn from you on how you look at it from balancing and looking at it from personalization aspect.
Correct. So exactly, thanks Sudha, first of all. As you rightly pointed out, this is a very different industry. I come from e-com, I come from D2C, right? Where customer experience is very much dependent on during customers open your app. Yeah. How you enhance his experience to get his sales. And post-purchase also, obviously that's the part and parcel of everything. But the most important part is how do you help customer purchase something. And we all are customers to D2C apps and purchasing online. So there our logic of customer experience is very, very different. What we try to do, and as you mentioned, personalizing at scale are two absolutely opposite terms.
True, absolutely.
And they are being used together means they have something in common, which is you can personalize, you can scale with that too, but you need to take some steps for that. First is creating very, very relevant segments for us. Right, relevant segments, not only demographics, North India, South India, what is the weather, that is, or basically the behavior also, but to a level that what kind of help from the app can enhance the chances of this customer purchasing. I'll give you an example. So one of our biggest brand is Glamm. Right. So Glamm, we have so many different kind of customer. There's a customer who is convinced, whose chances of getting convinced increase 30% only if she sees a UGC, which is user generated content. If she sees, okay, this person who's living in my city has purchased the product earlier and her skin is similar to mine, and this is how the output is. Her chances of conversion 30%, increased by 30%. That is a CX for me. I create that segment, I push that UGC. If the customer is there, not able to decide, then that UGC is pushed. Then there's a customer group who is motivated by discounts. And that's a bigger group in India. So we need to push that discount to them. So understanding the customer's DNA, why this customer is here, what is the intent of that customer to purchase from us, and if they are not getting convinced, what is our best lever to personalize the thing, because that is exactly suitable to what he or she would like and obviously what we would like to do. So that is the first thing, creating very, very minute segments and automating in such a way that it looks personalized. So that is first thing. Second thing, obviously it's a choice. Right, it's end of the day, it's a choice. What we do in customer experience, we have its pros and cons, but the end point is listen to the customer. What is the feedback they are giving to you in terms of UI? Have very unified NPS, very unified feedback kind of mechanism that comes back to us, and you take decision forward for that. Because in CX for us, there is no right or wrong. It's a very, very relative term. Something which is very interesting for you might not be very interesting for me. And this cannot be, it's not 2 + 2 = 4 for us. So that's the two things. First, segment as much as possible. go as fine as possible, and second, listen to the customer. These are the two things that help us getting personalization at scale.
No, thank you, Kshitij. And you brought up a very good point around the importance of analytics in customer segmentation, right? Understanding that customer segment is very key, and then it actually is also fuel into the marketing function. Because for them to do their lead generation campaigns and all, it becomes a very essential point.
Yeah. So analytics is part of it. Analytics will give you insights, it will give you data. But converting that data into revenue
Absolutely.
is what all marketing is about, right?
That's
Analytics will always give you data, analytics will always give you insight.
Yeah.
But how you convert that data into money, that data into revenue is what marketing is for us.
Absolutely. Agree. So, Mr. Vishwas, I know, the subtle thing, or, they say the last but the most important arm of customer experience is culture, right? It's very alluded, but it never spoken about. And I personally think as a CX professional that culture plays the most important part in bringing about any kind of change management, right? So, what do you think are some of the culture shifts from an organization perspective that you're looking into, which basically, affects the entire company, but at the same time is keeping the experience as the pivotal in terms of the operationalization?
Well, thank you, DCX and Sudha, for having me here. And so, while I heard all of the panelists out here, the interesting part for us is that EbixCash Global Services, we are actually partners to most of the brand in the market, and we have an engagement for them with regards to sales and customer service, right? So, as you rightly said, the thought process has to come from the top. The culture has to be driven from the top.
Absolutely.
And at EbixCash Global Services, the thought was driven by our CEO, Dr. Chumki Nyogi, and the thought was very clear, that we will work on two concepts. One is understanding the customer, and second, modifying and improvising our human touch with our employees to improvise the final experience of the customer. So we worked on two aspects. One was customer interaction behavior analysis. And then we introduced a component which was PPT, which is people, process and technology. These two concepts we initialized, and interestingly we saw a very positive turnaround. And for that matter, I would say the journey of EbixCash Global Services in last 2 years says it for itself. 2 years back we were around 2,000 people. Today we are 6,500 people. So we've grown quite in a quite aggressive manner. So understanding what is CIBA, which is Customer Interactive Business Behavior Analytics, is to, usually what happens, every business has a quality parameter, has a CSAT parameter, and a sales component. And while you are in sales, you also have a quality component. Usually you would see that, a top performer is given a trophy or something because he scored 100%. What we further drill down, while the person has scored 100%, what was the customer VOC in that interaction? So because quality is something, it's parameter based. Did I say yes? Did I nod? Did I, was I courteous? Was I empathetic? Anything. But there was a VOC of the customer saying that my last experience was not good. Right? So that is what we catch. Why was it not good? And then we move to the 5 whys. Okay, what were the components and the environmental factors that what impacted that?
Correct.
Basis that analysis, we present to our clients. And with that, we also see what was the enablement that the advisor had while interacting with the customer. Now, it's very natural that, when you're giving a training to an employee or an advisor to handle the customer, you would have multiple applications to follow. We also look what would be a better option. Synchronizing it, bring it at one view kind of a platform, give them a technology enablement so that they can effectively interact with the customer, give a solution which is more effective, and subsequently the branding of the brand that we are catering to, it's increases in the market because of that interaction. So once we did that, then we moved to the people aspect, and then from the performance standpoint, what is the outcome of that VOC from the customer and the action of the agent that we need to fix the process. So there are many SOPs that are put into business, and we have to go back to the clients and tell them these are the corrections that are required. Some could be regulatory, some could be non-regulatory. Obviously regulatory ones we won't touch, but non-regulatory which can enhance the experience, we give a suggestion. because you're partners to them, right? And when both of these are combined together, we bring in the technology part. Technology is important to enable and act as a catalyst. But the human impact, as what everybody agrees in this panel, human, touch is very important. Because even the technology is dependent on the human input.
Yeah.
So that interaction with the customer and the advisor gives us that data to put it into that and get the final the results out of that technology.
Yeah.
So overall, this is the structure. And as I said, while we built up, so we had to work on different departmental integrations also. How would each department work with each other, all right? And the outcome of this for one of our businesses which was a sales business, and sales is very critical for any organization because it's a revenue. So it was a insurance sales, and we designed and we implemented a technology which enabled the advisors to interact with the customer in a very, I would say, process-based manner. And it was easy for the customer to provide that information, right? And the outcome was the sale moved up by around 5% in the first week. And then at the end of the month, we had, moved up by sub 35% as compared to last month. So these are the enablements that we have to create and go back to our customers also and tell them that, what new we are doing. So, but we also keep one thing very clear to our focus. We would not digress from our core competencies of building in and bringing in the service enablement that we provide to our customers. Hence, basis the results and the analysis that we get, we onboard our technology partners and we enable those technologies to our end customers. That's...
No, thank you, Mr. Vishwas. And I think you spoke about a lot of important facts. One being how the culture plays an arm for the employee experience, as well as the other arm for the customer experience. And then you talked about a lot of frameworks, along with a lot of KPIs. So which takes me to the next question, and this is for you, Mr. Nikhil, on, what do you think are the different key metrics that actually play a key role in ensuring that it's a successful fulfillment process, let's say? Because, the industry for you is slightly different from, say, where Mr. Avinash is coming to.
So I'll tell you, the only metric which is important, for whether it's fulfillment or experience, everything you call it, is the certificate of the customer. Okay.
I agree.
Now the certificate of the customer, how do you measure it, right? Because you can't, right? So there are multiple KPIs which we use, whether you call it as NPS, you call it as CSAT, all that stuff,
yeah.
right? At the end of the day, and by the way, all these metrics are very important because as I think Avinash or somebody was saying, it's easy to basically get a good quality score.
Absolutely.
But it may not be directly proportional to what the VOC of the customer is. And hence, a parity between a quality score and a customer's voice, should basically be measured accordingly or simultaneously. Coming back to how to basically, so let's say I measure NPS, and we do measure NPS, and by the way, we have been 65 NPS throughout the entire 2023, and we are doing pretty good on that. The important part is, let's not take only that NPS as a metric. Take the feedback what customers are giving as a part of either a detractor as well as part of promoters. Use that detractor feedback what they're giving it and pass it on to the product team so that they can make the product better, they can make the logistic function better, they can make the quality function better, whatever it is, right? That is most important. And that is where at Tata Digital, every week, we have a meeting, right, chaired by the CEO himself on just going through what customers are talking about every week. And that's the importance we give it to the feedback which customers give it on our app or on, because we are omni-channel, right? Because you can shop on the net or on the app and go and pick up at Chroma store or whatever, right? Or you can stay in IHCL hotel and you basically get the feedback from there. So that feedback is very important of how to measure that feedback, use it, and pass it on so that you can make your product better. That is more important. Otherwise, standard KPIs like 24-hour resolution, NPS, CSAT, quality scores, those are standard which anyway we are using it. But as I said, important is to use that feedback and make your product or service better.
No, thank you, Mr. Nikhil, because what you said for a CX professional like me sounds like honey. And I really wish everyone thought about it the way that you rightly explain. Because the metric that actually matters is what your customer is truly saying. And then, where you looked at feedback and then you said, we would pass it on to the product team or the tech team or whoever it is, right, for the respective function. And that's what I think even Janita was alluding to today morning when she was talking about, how even if they get a feedback response of a 5%, it was celebrated, which is right. Because, if it's a good experience, no one's going to be bragging about it. But even look at us, like even as customers, if it's a bad experience, you're going to see it everywhere, right?
I'll give you an example.
That's beautiful examples that you said.
I'll give an example of a delight program which we have at Tata Digital. So, as a part of customer service, you will service our customers and so on and so forth. So, I'll give you an example where a father ordered a bicycle from our app, okay, for his son's birthday.
Okay.
And by mistake, he has put in a delivery date, or the app was showing a delivery date which was the next day than his son's birthday. So he called and he checked with us that, okay, I know the delivery date was the next day, but my son's birthday is on particular day. Would you basically please help us in delivering it a day prior? Yeah. And of course, we basically helped him out and delivered the bicycle on the day. But we realized it's his son's birthday, so we sent a birthday cake also, okay, for
really
his son.
nice.
Now, when we called that customer back that, okay, did you get the bike thing? This small guy was 6-year-old. He picked up the phone and said, okay, yeah, auntie, I got, and so the lady who was talking, I got the I got the bicycle, but I also got the birthday cake. And he went on social media and spoke about so much on this. That is the extra delight which you bring it. And I can quote many X number of examples of how the team has gone beyond, okay, the typical customer service job and delighted the customer. And that's what make the customer experience better.
Yeah, so real life example of personalization and hyper-personalization. So thanks for that. So, Jyoti, just wanted to, because again, a different industry, but wanted to understand with so much of, changes that are happening, do you have any, or do you suggest any success criteria or looking at, certain metrics personally?
So, just building up from what Nikhil said, I think, there's this NPS and this CSAT, and there's repeat customers and all of that, right? Which are like very basic metrics.
Absolutely.
But VOC and what the customer is saying is what matters. And again, we have a practice with Borosil as well. I think social media is a great tool for you to understand whether the customer is happy, not happy, what does he want us to do. So we very, very proactively read, look at reviews, even on the website, So we get a lot of reviews from customers on the website. They put complaints also, so they don't essentially understand it's, review about a product. They'll also come back and, vent out their grievances there. So we have a dedicated team who looks at all of them, replies to those customers individually, one-on-one, and we also then gather, collate all of that, and share it across to different stakeholders. And we ensure that even the minor of nuances, for example, there was a very specific review the customer sent us. So he rated us an NPS of, say, about 2. And he sent a very long paragraph on a comment about, so we have a coffee mate product, it's great to carry your coffee around. He gave me at least a 1-page review on how the lid does not tilt in a particular manner, and which is kind of, his father is getting inconvenienced to be able to sip coffee from there. We very specifically picked that review, was sent to the product team. They actually got a lot of coffee mates back, tried to, pour liquids, different kind of liquids, different people tested, saw what tilt angle he was talking about, and they actually kind of picked up a nuance to say, maybe if you do it in an X angle, it will actually work better. So, that's the kind of feedback generation and the kind of analysis that we're talking about, because ultimately, whatever you do, as you rightly said, if I'm happy, I might not come to you, but if I'm not happy, I definitely will. There's another actually very funny example of a customer posted on a social media page, right, Facebook. He apparently was, I think, walking to work or something, and he had a Borosil lunchbox that he was carrying, right? And apparently there was a dog that kind of followed him, and he was very scared of dogs. He actually used the lunchbox to shoo away the dog, and he actually posted that on social media. So, very interesting examples that keep coming in. Also gives you the confidence that though your customers definitely love your product, but also there's so much scope for improvement.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, the beauty of all of this lies in you bringing all of those insights or facts together and then portraying it to the right function, right? So I know I want to give 5 minutes to the audience as well for any questions, but before I pass it on, I think it was just great having you all here and then share your insights. I personally learned a lot. And I think we all do agree that with all the changes that are continuously happening, it sometimes is tough for us to catch up, but then the pivotal is where the customer is driving our seat and you keeping an eye on the experience angle and then fueling the right technology at the interventions is what is going to, bring about a change in terms of the operationalization as well. So I will now hand it to the audience. If anyone has any questions for any of our panelists, please feel free. And I hope someone can pass the mics on.
We heard about examples about customer delight. Have you had any experience about saying a no to a customer or refusing a customer? Or what's the best way of doing that? Because
anyone can pick it up, no problem. Thank you for that question, and your name, please.
I think many times.
I'm Sumit Roy from Lupin.
Hi,
So Sumit, many times, okay, the art is how to say no. Okay, because I'll tell you many people, and in our industry, there'll be people who would, and we are still, India as a country is still getting matured on the return policies, right? And the return behavior of our customers.
Return and exchange.
Return
both.
and exchange, correct? So many times you have to say no. Okay, many times you have to basically be apologetic on the experience what they have had. But the art is how do we say no to it? Never. And being a part of Tata Group, I can tell you across Tata Group companies, empathy is the biggest factor which we use. Okay, so when certain things people demand for something which is which we can do it as a part of our goodwill gesture, we definitely go beyond and do it. The example I gave it just now, or many examples like that. But when it is something which we cannot deliver it, for example, okay, a person whose credit history doesn't allow him to get a HDFC new credit card, okay, and it has been rejected, okay, for the right reasons, and he basically insists of getting a credit card, we have to say no. Correct? We have to say no in a right way that, okay, these are the reasons why you have been rejected. Okay. And many examples, right? When a customer basically would like to get a one night free on a Taj hotel, okay, and he's, let's say, not eligible for it, okay, then we have to say no. So as I said, the art is how do you have to refuse that so that the customer doesn't find it that, okay, yes, they have been arrogant in saying no to it, and they are right in telling that.
Yeah, and I think that's where the art of communication as well plays a very, very key role in you, basically putting that no factor as well. So just to add to Mr. Nikhil's experience, so, for one of the Middle East banks, we are designing a bot for them. And while I was in the meeting, the CEO said, I'm very particular that you don't say no to a customer. While I understand that there are certain scenarios, I want even the bot to be able to humanize that content. So that's where the art of prompts came in, right? Now, for example, if there's a blocked credit card, you can't make a purchase, then how does the bot actually say that out? So, that's where you kind of allude to say that, you are ineligible for etc., but you don't say the word ineligible. But then you say, I'm sorry, I can't service you at the moment for this reason. But however, I'm giving you alternate options. And that's where you can also talk to an agent to help, groove through that. So some examples from my experience as well. I think there was another hand there. Yeah, you can just take the mic, sir.
Hi, my name is Somin. I'm from Eton. My question is, in a B2B space, how you track customer journey and how you give real-time update to the customer. Say, for example, if customer order for something which has a lead time of, say, 2 months, and they have placed an order, but they don't know what is exactly happening with the order. Yeah. So what is the mechanism to give them real-time update?
So today, you have options to create customized tools as long as your data is sitting in your enterprise systems. Let's say once an order is made, it's registered, right, in your system. It could be the CRM, ERP. So you can pick up this data and then you can start showcasing live insights. So that is option number one, right? Option 2 is, let's say, what we also try to do is we are also trying to track after the dispatch, right? So we, just like in FMCG, we have started putting QR codes in each of our products. So as soon as the product gets shipped out, the customer gets a notification that it's been shipped out. So we are taking the help of a lot of third-party platforms to make sure that, the customer is able to track the logistics and the delivery. And as soon as the customer gets the product in his hands, he can scan the QR codes. He can get a lot of information about the product. So in our industry, the technical specification, the quality inspection reports are all very critical before the product gets used. So we are providing it by means of QR code. And then we continuously put in place a mechanism to track how the experience of a product uses after that. So these are some of the ways in B2B we are experimenting. Definitely a long way to go. Yes, this is a very, we've got a lot of positive feedback from a lot of our channel partners, from our key accounts, by some of these approaches. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being a lovely audience and encouraging us as well. So thanks once again to all of you. My pleasure. Thanks to Gain Skills too. Thank you.
Thank you, Sudha. Very good moderation.
Thank you.
Request Mr. Pushkar Gokhale, Executive Vice President and Business Head at Godrej and Boys Manufacturing Company Limited, to join us on the stage, and felicitate Ms. Sudha Bhat, our moderator,